Hey, deserving listeners. So recently I watched this show, 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, and I only watched episode 7 of season 4. And I thought I would never watch another episode, but a lot of you commented that I should go back to the beginning. So I went back to the beginning. This is episode 1, season 4, and I'm going to this time focus on Lisa and Usman, or Usman. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. So let's see what we can see in the first episode. This is the Psychology in Seattle podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a couples therapist, and I'm also a professor in couples therapy. And there's just so much that I can react to when I watch these shows because I treat a lot of couples like this. And there's just so many different pitfalls that typically people fall into. In fact, I would almost say it's universal for people to fall into that I always want people to not fall into those pitfalls because I love it when people can love each other because we all deserve to have secure attachments and love in our lives. So let's see what we can see with Lisa and Usman, or Usman.
Look how nice this is.
So how bold are we going today?
Let's take it all off. Now I'm doing it for the sake of love, okay?
Okay, so as always, I'm always predicting or wondering why people watch shows like this, and I think one of the reasons is because people like to laugh at people. They might look at someone like Lisa and say like, ew, that's gross that she's getting a Brazilian, you know, this woman is disgusting, or whatever they say. Some version of ew. I don't know that. Everyone deserves a sexuality. Everyone deserves to get a Brazilian if they want to. Everyone deserves to go after and pursue a romantic and sexual life if they want to. As I always say, the only reason, or the main reason why I'm doing this podcast is I want to make the world a better place. And one of the things that I target in trying to make the world a better place, or a less negative place, is to reduce judgment on other people. If she were my friend, I would say, you go, girl, get that Brazilian, chase that love, chase that sexual life that you want to have. You deserve that.
I was divorced 4 years ago. I had married a man who I thought was a good person, but I was cheated on and verbally abused for years. When I finally left, it was the best thing for my daughter and I.
So I'm really sad for Lisa to hear that she went through abuse in her past relationship. I will say that given what I saw in episode 7, she seemed to exhibit abusive, controlling behavior herself. I can't diagnose from afar. You just never know what else is happening and whether or not it's being played up for the cameras or not. But for educational purposes, it certainly had that look to it in episode 7. Is it possible for someone who tends to be controlling in a relationship like Lisa to be involved with another controlling person? Absolutely. Is it possible for her to have an even higher controlling person to, that controlled her and abused her verbally more than she gave the abuse back? Absolutely, that's possible. It's also possible that through her controlling behavior, it provoked a response from her partner that she narrativized as being abusive to her when most onlookers would not label her partner as abusive and would label her behavior as abusive. That provokes an angry response from another person. There's no way to know what that was, but I'm just throwing it out there.
He called me immediately on video chat and showed that, this is his true identity. It was exciting because I've never spoke to anyone that was so young. I'm 52, he's 30. So it was like, what am I doing, But Usman was flirtatious.
When people watch this, I'm quite positive that they assume that Usman is exploiting her for the green card and the opportunity, or even just to get on a reality TV show, who knows. Certainly that is possible. But it is also totally possible for him to have fallen in love with her.
The hardest part of being with a Nigerian celebrity is his followers. The women do make comments. So several times during the day, you will see me going through Soulja Boy's social media, checking to see what these females do post. We're gonna snap this, and I'm gonna send it to him. I wanna know who she is.
So we see a lot of examples of this where Lisa is attachment insecure with Usman. She doesn't want to lose him and is worried that someone else is going to take him away, or that he is going to be attracted to someone else. Nothing wrong with that. The functional way, there's a handful, or there's probably a lot of functional ways, but the most common example I give is just the most direct. For Lisa to go to Usman and say, so I'm seeing all these other comments on the internet, other women saying that they're attracted to you and that they like you. I'm not accusing you of anything, because why would I? But I just want you to reassure me, because I'm a little worried I'm going to lose you, to how much you love me. Are you dedicated to me? Are you cheating on me? Can you do your best to reassure me that you're not? I realize that that's not necessarily your responsibility, but you could really help me out a lot with my fear of losing you by telling me things that'll reassure me, try to reassure me. Do you like these other women? Do you have contact with them? Are you attracted to other people? That kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But what she's doing is she's taking a screenshot and she's texting him and saying, what's up with this? Well, right off the bat, you're being accusatory in a way that will probably not feel justified to Usman. He's going to be like, well, I'm on the internet and I'm a celebrity and people say things about me. So what do you want me to do? To tell them to not? Plus, I don't even know these people, or even if I did, I'm not attracted to them. I'm with you. How come you're coming out of the gates accusatory? A big part of how relationships and their conflicts play out has to do with the way you start a conversation that is difficult. John Gottman talks about this a lot. He would observe this in the lab, where couples, the way they start a conflict often determines how it ends. If you start with an accusation, that is likely going to result in bad things. If you start well, like, hey, honey, so I love you. By the way, I was flipping through social media, and you know how I get. I saw some comments from other women, and it freaked me out. Can you remind me how much you love me? Or I saw some comments, and I don't know, it just kind of triggered some old stuff. I've been cheated on in the past, and it just made me a little paranoid that maybe you're cheating on me. I have no evidence that you're cheating on me, and I don't want to accuse you of anything. But I just have to say, like, it's something that I get scared of a lot of times. Can you help me out with that? Let's have a conversation. So that's another way to start, right? Another way to start would be passively, of just like, so what are you doing on the internet today? That kind of game playing. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. There are functional ways, there are dysfunctional ways. The feeling is functional. It's normal to get insecure. It's normal to get jealous. It's what we do with it that counts.
Who is she? Just because she's a colleague doesn't mean she needs to put a love emoji on your social media.
So this isn't terribly accusatory. It's accusatory. I'm not going to frame this as functional, but it's possible that it's done in a playful enough way that Usman is receiving it well enough. It's hard to say, but this isn't a good indication. And again, I've seen episode 7 already, and so I've seen them later on, and I've already seen some concerning behaviors from her. And so this is just another data point in the column of high control reactivity to attachment insecurity that is not going to go over well usually with people.
I still find it disrespectful. Do you see male colleagues on my Facebook putting heart emojis, love emojis? No, you do not. Let's tighten up your Facebook a little bit.
Let's tighten up your Facebook a little bit? That phrase is just so disappointingly controlling. Let's tighten up your Facebook. What is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to tighten up his Facebook? He's a celebrity. He gets a lot of comments. Or his friends are just saying nice things. Now, okay, there's nothing wrong with him going like, hey, everyone, by the way, I'm engaged. These 3 people, try to tone down your comments, because when you say explicitly sexual things to me publicly on Facebook, it triggers my fiance. Could you tone it down a little bit? There's nothing wrong with her in a nice way asking for that kind of thing, but the way she's going about this is just so typically controlling. Let's tighten up your Facebook a little bit. That's a very top-down way of talking to someone. again, there's nothing wrong with being attachment insecure. There's nothing wrong with wanting reassurance. There is something quite dysfunctional about reacting to that with control, because it feels like a solution, right? It's like, well, I'm going to stamp out that behavior I don't like. I'm going to stamp it out, and that'll solve my problems. No, it will not. It will just cause someone to dislike you and thus move away from you emotionally, and eventually the relationship will dissolve because they don't like being controlled, or they allow themselves to be controlled, but they turn off their love for you and they just do everything to please you, but they're not really in love with you. So there's almost no good result from using high control to manage attachment insecurity. A lot of people do this, and again, this is one of those pitfalls that I just cringe when I see people doing it. If I were sitting right there with Lisa, I would be like, hey, you're insecure right now. Nothing wrong with that. It happens to me all the time. Let's soothe ourselves. Let's own our anxiety. Let's communicate that anxiety in a functional way. Let's give Usman a chance to step forward. Just alert him to your anxiety. Maybe Usman will say like, maybe I need to tighten up my Facebook a little bit. Let him come to that. Maybe he has an even better solution. You want to trust people. Now, if you come from a background where you've never been able to trust people with your emotions, then it's likely you're going to resort to things that are dysfunctional. But and that's the tragedy of coming from relationships, even childhood relationships, that exhibited you can't really trust other people with your feelings. And it just causes people to perpetuate these relationship problems.
I am much more difficult on Usman because of what has happened to me. With my ex-husband, I don't want to be hurt again. I do have doubts about Usman because of the way these women are writing to him. It makes me wonder, is this man actually who he says he is? Is he faithful to me?
Again, totally understandable. Is he who he says he is? Is he faithful to me? Totally good question. You really have no way of knowing that, especially since you're in different countries. So part of it is just it's just ambiguous. You're just never going to know. And that's one of those things that in the beginning of a relationship, particularly when you don't have a lot of contact with each other, you just have to chalk up to you're just not going to know. And we have to be able to sit with that insecurity and that ambiguity and not resort to dysfunctional things to try to establish that answer. It's like, well, I don't know. Is he cheating on me? I don't know. Is there any way to know? Not really. Well, I'm going to control his Facebook as if he is cheating on you, controlling his Facebook isn't going to stop him from cheating on you. You know what I mean? If you just sort of walk yourself through the behavior, it's like it's not rational to do that. Again, it's normal to be insecure about that. He should be worried about you cheating on because there's just no way to know. It's just one of those things. Until you develop a relationship, months into it, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, it's just hard to know really what's happening. Take it from me, who's been with a lot of clients through these kinds of relationships. A lot of things happen, and it's unfortunate, and it's sad.
From day one, he's been having nothing but safe sex when he was in a relationship. When I get there, there'll be no condom used.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Just an interesting way to put it, I suppose. So we see in Lisa, there's a lot to say, but the most relevant thing, I think, is that for Lisa, her friend is confronting her, Nikki, I believe her name is, saying that, hey, you're going over there, you're determined to get married, and you don't really have enough data yet. You haven't kissed, you haven't been together, you haven't seen him in the flesh. You don't know him well enough to make that leap of marriage, and I don't want you to get hurt. Now, Nikki isn't saying that. That'd be a more functional way to communicate. Hey, friend, I am afraid for you because I love you, and here are some thoughts about that. You want to start with that's the basis instead of just judging someone. Maybe Lisa understands that. Who knows? Or they edited it out because they always do that. But the thing here for Lisa is she's getting defensive. She's like, no, you don't understand. We have a bond, and you can't have a relationship based on sex. And she's throwing out all these defensive things. That's not a good sign. What you want to do as a person in this situation is go like, yeah, you're right. I don't really know. if he's the right one. I hope he's the right one, but I'm going to Nigeria to meet him in the flesh to find out if he's the right one. So you're right. You know, I don't really know. Instead, what Lisa is, she's digging in. And you'll see people do this. And you might have even done it in your life, where a year into a relationship that you had to really fight other people for, you know, your family, your friends were like, he's wrong or she's wrong for you. And you're like, no, you don't understand. And then a year later, you're like, whoa, they were all right. Well, part of that might be because you just reacted in this very defensive way rather than sitting in the gray, and you were more black and white. Like, well, it feels good and therefore it is good. Instead of like, well, I don't know. It's in the it's the first stages of a relationship. Who knows where this is going? This could go terribly wrong. It could go terribly right. There's just no way to know. So I'm going to proceed knowing that I don't know. And when I know, I will know. But it won't be now. It'll be later. And I just wish more people allowed for that grayness to exist, because I think it allows us the time and the space to really explore. It's okay to explore. You don't have to make a choice right away with people.
It's like I'm taking a virgin. Usman and I will have unprotected sex, and it will be off the hook. It's like I'm taking a virgin. Usman and I will have unprotected sex, and it will be off the hook. He will teach me the Nigerian way, and I will teach him the American way.
What's the American way? What's the Nigerian way? I have all these visualizations in my head right now. He will show me the Nigerian way, and I will show him the American. What's the American way? I guess I see why people watch this show. She's a character. We'll give her that, right? All right. Well, that does it for the episode 1, season 4 with Lisa and Usman episode. Tune in next time when we go to episode 2. And as always, please take care of yourself, take care of others, express your primary emotions of fear and hurt. Allow other people to take care of you, because we all deserve that. We really, really do.